Get 84% off and 4 months for free of Surfshark VPN, guys, by using code INCON. Check out the link down below in the description to help support the Twitchiest community.
Other gods are already.
Hello, everybody. We are here with your Achilles guide, moving into our second set of guides. We are going to be playing Achilles in the solo lane this time. We played him previously in the jungle. Now we're going to be doing him in solo, which is probably a better spot for him right now. Anyway, here at level 1, we're going to be grabbing ourselves a Warrior's Blessing, a Chalice of Healing, 3 multi-pots. In this matchup, I am against a Lulu, which means I'm just going to buy my teleport. You don't have to buy your relic. If you're going to buy teleport, you can actually wait and hold down on it. But Cthulhu's clear is so much better than Achilles is in the early game that I know for a fact that I'm going to get out cleared. And so I'm not even going to worry about it. I'm just going to grab my teleport. We are also going to be taking off our shirt here in the early game. This is going to give us extra clear in the lane. So Achilles has 2 forms. We're going to get into that, but in the base, you start off by default in your tanky form, which is where your shirt is on. If you left click in the base, you will take it off, and then you will get into your damage form. So I actually have additional power and movement speed right now. I'm going to want this additional power for the lane clear, but actually later on in the game we are going to transition out of this. At level 1, we are going to start with our 1 because it's going to help us on this blue buff clear. This is going to do 100 to 320 damage in a giant AoE cone in front of us.
On my way.
So much.
The targets that are closer to us are going to take more damage, and they will be stunned. So if they are in this little tiny cone radius right here in front of us, not only are they going to take the maximum damage, they are also going to be stunned while they are inside that spot. Enemies outside of this deals 85% damage to targets that are farther away. So if I use my 1, let's say I use my 1 on this minion wave, you'll be able to see that up front it's going to do more damage, and farther away it does less damage. It also only does the stun in that little cone in front of you.
Enemy missing. Enemies in the right jungle.
At level 2, we are going to grab our 3. This is our movement speed ability here on Achilles. It is going to give us a dash. It's a very, very short dash. It is going to do 50 damage, scaling all the way up to 190. It is a very small duration. You see a little dash, but if you hit an enemy god, once you use this, you actually get a second dash. So your very first dash, if you just hit a minion wave, if you just hit a jungle camp, whatever, this will not reset. But when you do your first dash, if I use it on just these minions, boom, the ability goes on cooldown. But if you hit a god with the damage portion of this ability, you will in fact get to use it twice. So if I dash and then I make sure to hit the Cthulhu with that damage marker, I can go ahead and use it again on the wave, which is nice.
Take the jungle buff.
At level 3, I grabbed another point in my 1. Some people like leveling up the 3 in the lane for Achilles, and that is fine if you prefer it. I sometimes do it myself. I don't personally like it against Cthulhu. Cthulhu's actually really good at displacing you with his 3 and bringing you away from the wave and displacing your wave. So it actually can be quite hard to hit Cthulhu and the wave at the same time with the 3, and so it is just a little bit safer to level up our 1 for that lane clear over during our laning phase. Our second ability we grabbed at a level 4. This is going to be a stim for our other abilities. This is going to increase the damage from our other abilities. And so for the next 6 seconds, our abilities will have a heal for us. And you can see that we will get a heal from a maximum of 2 abilities here at the start, scaling all the way up to 4 at the very end. So if I were to use, say, my double dash after pressing my 2, that would be both of those heals. On top of the heal, we are also going to gain a bonus percent physical power. So this is not a flat amount of physical power. This is actually a percentage. So when we click our 2, you can actually see our numbers change over there in the bottom left. And that is because we gain an extra 10% protections, as well as 6% physical power, and we gain some CCR. We gain 20% CCR. CCR, of course, means crowd control reduction. Crowd control reduction reduces the amount of time that you can be CC'd for. And you can have a maximum of 40% CCR, just like you can have a maximum of 40% CDR. Same thing, maximum 40% CCR. Don't get those two confused, though. Those are, in fact, different things. For our first item, we grabbed ourselves a Warrior Tabite. Warrior Tabite gives us a nice bit of damage in the lane, and it's also going to help us with our lane clear. You can see that I am trying to get auto attacks in between my abilities on this Cthulhu when I can. Just like every other god in the game, you do, in fact, want to get auto attacks in between your abilities. Just little auto attack cancels. So if I use an ability and then auto, and then an ability, then auto, it just increases the amount of damage that you can do. So I got like that 75 damage auto right there. If I'm just spamming my abilities, I do miss out on a little bit of potential damage. And that little bit of potential damage adds up really quick. At level 5, we have grabbed our ultimate. Our ultimate on Achilles is kind of fun and unique because we actually don't level this up past level 1. So we're not going to get this leveled up until the very, very, very end stages of the game. So we grab our 1 point into it at level 5. The reason why we only put 1 point into this is because this is an execute ability. So this is going to execute God at the 30% HP threshold. If we just hit him with it outright, you'll see it does 180 damage. But that's not what we're trying to use Achilles Execute for. We want to be using this to actually execute them. So when they're under 30%, you'll see a little icon pop up on the enemy god. And that's how you know that they are, in fact, in the threshold range. So you don't have to sit there and guess, are they in threshold, are they not? You will know. They will have a giant thing on them to indicate toward you. As you continue to execute people, though, on Achilles, you actually do take more damage. So you're kind of in a blind rage almost. And so this isn't super relevant most of the time, but you should be aware. I'm going to try to just run away from this as much as I can. Want to use 1, 3. Now I use my second one. I know they're going to keep chasing me down. I've got my ultimate. I'm going to use it for the CC immunity. I'm going to keep running over here to the mid lane. Running away from the scary nemesis and the Cthulhu. That's a good combo. All right. Now I can start walking right back over to my lane. So when you actually land the execute, you see it says damage taken increased by 10%. This can actually stack up to 5 times. So basically, the more you use your ultimate, the more that's going to stack up. And the reason why you can use it up to 5 times is because if you execute somebody with Achilles ult, it will reset just like a Scylla, and you can use it again. As long as you get the execute with this ability, you will be able to use it as many times as you want. And considering there's 5 characters in the game, that means you can basically use it 6 times. All the executes. Gonna use my 3 to catch up a little bit more towards this Cthulhu. Nemesis is actually still over here. I'm gonna throw down a deep ward just to have the vision. I'm gonna stick around right here. I've got my little Stone of Gaia healing me up a little bit. I'm gonna see if I can't scare him off. I'm gonna get some big damage here on Lulu. I know he wants to dash away. I'm gonna be just dashing into them, looking for this fight. Ultimate's about to come up. Start channeling it. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna quite hit it. Oh my goodness, I am so low. Oh no, there's an Arthur. I'm not gonna be able to get out of this one, so I'm just gonna try to go for the kill. I'm not gonna be able to quite get it.
You have been slain.
We're gonna get a Stone of Gaia as our second item here. Stone of Gaia is basically mandatory over in the solo lane. In a lot of roles, you're gonna see the sledge get picked up because it's really good. But over in the solo lane, you're gonna get yourself a Stone of Gaia because this is going to give you so much sustain for the lane. So all of that poke coming out over in the solo lane means almost nothing when you've got the Stone of Gaia giving you this percentage HP regen. It's super nice. Also, of course, you can also factor in the passive where you gain 15% of your max health over 5 seconds if they do have things like knockbacks, pulls, knockups. I'm gonna be honest, man, they don't even need to have those types of things for this to be a crazy efficient item. Finally, our passive, which we did talk about a little bit at the start. Our passive is related to having our shirt on or not. We took our shirt off at the beginning of the game, and so you can see we've got this bonus power and this bonus movement speed. This scales throughout the game, so at the start of the game, if we are in our tanky form, that is wearing our shirt, then we have bonus protections. This is magical and physical protections. And you also get bonus HP, so that's 25 flat, 5 flat protections. And then you get an extra 15 HP per level and 2 protections per level. If you're in the damage stance, you are going to get movement speed 1% at the start plus 0.25 per level, and then you get a physical power bonus of 3 plus 2 per level. So at the start of the game, we want this damage stance in order to help us get this clear off. And as we get later into the game, we are actually going to transition this back into the tanky form because of the build that we are going to end up going. Me and Cthulhu just hitting each other in the head. Absolutely nothing is happening. This is pretty much the standard in the solo lane. You pray you don't get ganked by Nemesis on both sides. So your first priority is going to be to clear out the wave.
Your middle tower is under attack.
For the most part, especially once you get to the 12-minute marker, you're not super going to be able to kill each other unless somebody starts making some pretty decent mistakes. So what you're really looking to do is get some farm going, perhaps proxy farm a wave. Because if you proxy farm a wave, or if you get a jungle rotation like this, you actually have some options, but against Cthulhu, it's gonna be super hard to kill. But if you proxy farm the wave, that's gonna give you options to rotate. You can play aggressive on their blue buff. This game in particular, I've got to be very afraid of the Nemesis. Nemesis is a super strong jungler. That's actually Lulu's dash right here, so I'm just gonna kind of sit on him, get some good damage. Because this actually will matter. Especially if the Hunbatch comes back over. I'm looking at the execute. I don't think he's gonna be in range. Oh, he is in range. Ah, such a smart dash. I was hoping that his dash was still down, but it came up, so he actually dashed through me when I used my ulti, and so he got it off just beforehand. Luckily, I've got this Stone of Gaia, so that knock-up from Cthulhu is actually going to heal me. Meanwhile, Support Arthur doing Support Arthur things. So I'm against the Lulu, but they have got 3 physicals, 2 magicals on this team. I'm going to get myself going into a Gladiator's Shield. This Gladiator Shield is probably the best item in the game right now. For warriors, heck, for assassins, for pretty much everybody. It is extremely stat efficient for its price. It's going to give you HP and power and physical defenses and cooldown and everything you could ever want. And the real reason why you pick it up is because of its passive.
Enemy has been slain.
The passive on this item is going to give you damage for building tanky. So if an enemy is under 60% health, you're going to do bonus damage to them, and you're going to get even more damage on top of that damage if you are building tanky. So this is why we are in an extremely tanky meta right now. Because building tank is rewarded with extra damage, this is almost strictly due to Gladiator's Shield. So even though I'm against a magical damage dealer here in the lane, I am still going to get myself a Gladiator Shield. It is simply too good not to. Gonna go look at his blue buff again though. Gonna save my one for secure. He's actually not coming over to this, so I'm just gonna take it. Walk back over to the lane. Your 2 reminder gives you bonus physical power and protections. So not only is this bonus damage on my abilities, but it's also bonus on my auto. So if you watch my auto attack, 116 compared to 125 when I pop my 2. That is percentage power and protection. So that affects everything that you're doing. That's ability scaling, that's auto attack damage, it's all of it.
Enemy missing.
We're getting to about the stage of the game in the solo lane where you're really going to have to start working on rotations. So my team is actually doing pretty well over there. They just got themselves the Gold Fury, so I don't have to worry about too much. I'm going to run back towards this tier 2 tower. You can always know where the minions are going to be by looking at your own wave. So I look at my own wave. I see that it's right about the tier 2 tower, meaning I know that their wave is going to be right about at the tier 2 tower. So I can walk over here and try to proxy this wave. Now, I am going to get ganked by a Nemesis. In fact, their whole team is over here, which is kind of hilarious considering that a Gold Fury was being done. Sylvanas comes over for the peel. There's a Cuckoo ulti. There is 4 people here over to stop the proxy farming Achilles. This probably won't happen to you, I'm going to be honest. Most people don't put this much effort into trying to kill the solo laner. You're usually pretty free to just do whatever you want, because otherwise you do lose objectives. And if you use all those abilities, chances are you're going to lose the team fight right after. So we're going to give ourselves a couple of wards while we're running back out of this lane. Once we finish our Pridvin, this is going to be our next item. It's going to be a nice little Pridvin. And after we get this Pridvin, I'm going to switch over from my damage form on Achilles, and I'm going to switch back to my tanky shirt because I'm going to get a bunch of protections from my tanky form, and those protections are going to scale with my Pridvin and my Gladiator Shield, and they're going to basically give me more damage than my damage form would give me anyway. It's absolutely ridiculous. Want a little bit of extra damage on a tower? Pop your 2. Reminder gives you that bonus auto attack damage, so I actually have a little bit of bonus damage while I'm just sitting here attacking this tower. Think outside the box when you're using your 2. All right, now that we got mid a little push up, we got the Arthur killed, we're going to head back over to our solo lane. As with all roles, farm is king, so make sure you're getting your farm before you're doing things like rotate.
Nowhere to hide.
For our matchups for Achilles, a great showing this game actually from the enemy team with the Nemesis and the Cthulhu. Cthulhu in general is going to out-clear Achilles. Achilles is not super actually strong in the lane clear department. He actually has quite a lot of gods that will out-clear him. So you have to be careful in that regard. You don't want to make sure that you're letting too many creeps get under tower, so don't be afraid to kind of push up, let the creeps get some hits on you. You want to make sure you're getting that gold.
An enemy has been
Cthulhu, no exception to that rule, but Achilles in general is actually good against Cthulhu. So why do we like Achilles against Cthulhu even though he doesn't particularly win the lane clear? We like him because he actually has an ultimate that counters Cthulhu ulti. So Cthulhu ulti gives him more HP, but this is actually adding to his maximum HP, meaning that it's not helping him get out of things like the execute threshold. So as much as he gives himself bonus HP, it doesn't actually matter because his max HP percentage is still going to be the same. So we can actually execute him through his ultimate. So as we move into the team fight stage of the game, you will start to see that Achilles matchup be quite favorable into the Cthulhu, just not in the early stages of the game, particularly that laning phase where he will out-clear you. So don't worry about that. Winning the solo lane clear is not everything. As long as you're not losing too much gold under tower, it's gonna be fine. Another matchup here that we have is we've got a Nemesis in the jungle. Nemesis is pretty much the bane of every solo laner's existence. Her ultimate that does percentage of your HP and also reduces your protections and your movement speed. It's just a tank's nightmare. So you always have to be careful, pretty much regardless of who you're playing in the solo lane. As of right now, the solo lane meta is almost strictly warriors plus Cthulhu / Cabrakan and Cerberus. Those are like the 3 guardians you see over in solo lane. Otherwise, it's mostly warriors. So anytime you're playing over in the solo lane, you just have to be careful about a god like Nemesis because she is a tank killer. Outside of that, Achilles actually does like going against tanks in general just because he has that execute of percentage HP, and a lot of people are going to be picking up Stone of Gaia. You can actually see the Stone of Gaia picked up on the Arthur and the Cthulhu.
Will this protect me from idiots?
I'm going to rank up my teleport and my Thorns. That's going to allow me to teleport over here in the mid. I'm going to buy a Sentry Ward while I'm in the middle of my teleport. Try to get over here. My team already grabbed the Gold Fury, but I want to get into this fight as soon as possible. Try to help him out in case this continues to break out. I'm going to go stun the Arthur. Going to use my 3 for the damage. I can use it again because I used it on a player. I think he's probably going to be in range of my execute when it goes off. But he actually gets yoinked by the Sylvanas right out of the execute, which is kind of hilarious. My job in these team fights is I am supposed to dive their backline. So this Scotty, that Scotty is going to have a miserable experience as I use my W key towards her. So I rank up the upgraded, now I've got upgraded Thorns. Upgraded Thorns is absolutely mandatory right now in my opinion. Crit is still really good as a build path for people like Hunters or the auto attack assassins of the world like Mercury's. If you buy a Thorns, it will completely decimate them, counter them 100%. There is nothing they can do about it. If they walk at you, they are simply going to die if you pop your Thorns. Worst case scenario, basically, they don't auto attack you for 5 seconds, and then you just beat on them for 5 seconds long. Now, most people are not going to be building crit because they know about this. Doesn't matter, regardless of them not building crit. Healing and lifesteal, Devo Gloves, Blood Force, Aussie, Bancrofts, Typhon's Fang. These are all very popular items right now. So having the Thorns reduces, remember, the healing that people do on you by 50%. They only get 50% of their total lifesteal on you while you have Thorns activated. So it's also going to completely counter anything they can do about that. Now, if I didn't have a teleport here, let's say I was also going against somebody that had bad lane clear, so I didn't feel like I was going to get super punished in the laning phase. And then if I didn't need a teleport, I could grab something like a blink, so I could blink into the back line. I could grab my team something like a Shell if they had a lot of auto attackers. I could even get a Curse Donk if they had something like a Hell on their team and they were going to have a lot of healing, and I wanted to help deal with the sustain. But for the most part, if you're not sure, I would just get the teleport at the start of the game. It is a very safe active. You will see good solo laners when they're confident in their matchup, when they think they're going to win clear, they will usually grab a blink because that will let them go for a little bit more rotational pressure. And you can go for a little bit of an early like mid gank or something with that blink. But if you're not confident with it, there's nothing wrong with just grabbing a teleport. All right, their entire team is over here, so I'm gonna use my 3, start dashing myself away. Gonna save my ultimate if at all possible.
Defend the fire giant.
We do need to get people over towards the fire giant. I've got 3,000 gold, so I need to back. Looking at their team comp one more time. Physical. They got triple physical. Actually, I was gonna back, but you know what? The Scotty is looking mighty tasty, so I'm gonna dash right in towards the Scotty. Gonna grab that kill right there. Looking to get the Nemesis into range. We're gonna get the execute on the Nem. Now I'm looking at Lulu. I've got 10 seconds now in order to use my ulti before it goes away again. So it's about to go away. I'm just going to use it. I don't know if he's going to be in Threshold. He will be in Threshold. And now I've got another 10 seconds to use my ultimate yet again. Every time you use the ulti, you get 10 seconds to use it. So I'm just going to use it on the fire because there's nothing else for me to use it on. When I use my ultimate, you can see that I got a nice Pridvin proc. Pridvin, the reason why we're picking it up is, one, it's just a flat out good item on its own. But this is a build that if you haven't started seeing it yet, you're gonna start seeing it. It's on all of the meta rank games. For solo lane, the meta build almost always includes Stone of Gaia into Gladiator Shield into Pridvin. Other roles, you'll often see the Gladiator Shield into Pridvin, but it'll typically be a replaced Stone of Gaia with a Sledge instead. So oftentimes in the jungle or even the support role. Gonna be grabbing myself a Void Shield. I have finished my Pridvin, so I want to make sure now that my shirt is back on. My shirt being on gives me 325 HP in 45 of each protections. So now I've got 217 physical protections, 148 magical protections. So I'm going to get myself a Void Shield. We're going to sell our Mage's Blessing. I do not need any anti-heal against this team. So instead of that, I'm going to get a Genji's Guard. If I needed anti-heal here, I would probably go a Pestilence. Because I do not need a Pestilence, I'm going to grab a Genji's Guard. This is going to give us full 40% CDR, plus we are going to get the additional cooldown from the Sledge when we are hit by magical damage. We are currently sitting at 3,400 HP and 252 physical protections, 193 magical protections. Now, what does this mean? This means that our Gladiator Shield, so we get 15 plus 25% of your protections from items and abilities from this item going into the bonus damage. And on our Pridvin, we get the 25% of our protections goes into that shield. So I'm diving right into the front line. I'm going to pop my Thorns just so all this damage that they're doing to me, they're also reflecting back to themselves. It's going to let me live through some scary situations, because nobody wants to be thorning themselves for all of their health. Gonna throw down a deep sentry ward over here to the top right. It is my job to get in here as soon as I possibly can. Looks like Lulu is getting really close to Threshold, so I'm trying to hold out in the backline, zone him out. I'm hoping he gets into Threshold. I'm gonna go for the stun here. Now he's in Threshold after the stun. I'm gonna get the execute, following up with the execute on to King Arthur. And now we get to move farther into the base. We still got 4 people alive, 2 Phoenixes down. I used my 3 once there. I'm gonna try to peel a little bit for my Izanami in the backline. I just wanna keep him alive. Now I'm gonna dive into the Cuckoo, and you can see all of this absolute nonsense damage that I'm doing out while building mostly defensive items. I mean, this is an almost entirely defensive hybrid build, and I am still absolutely slapping because of the Gladiator Shield and the Pridvin. Not to mention that execute lets us do a bunch of damage regardless of the damage items that we are building. At the very end of that game, if we would have sold our Warrior Tabi, we would have sold our Warrior Tabi for a situational item. At that point in the game, you're looking to do something for your team. Maybe you get a Shogun's Kusari because you've got 3 auto attackers. You've got like a Mercury jungle with an Izanami. Maybe you've got a Chronos mid, whatever. You're looking to get yourself something to completely counter the enemy team, so maybe they do end up building crit, and so you end up needing a spectral armor. This game for me, honestly, probably would have been a wing blade, because that would have helped me a lot against the Nemesis. As we transition to the ultra late game, she might have been able to start killing me with a Nemesis Cuckoo ulti, so I might have gotten a wing blade to keep myself alive, get that extra movement speed when she tries to slow me, guys. And that is the start of our second run through of the guide series, our Achilles solo guide. And for those of you watching this on YouTube, I would love to know down in the comments below any type of new information that you are looking for in this guide series. Obviously, things like builds are going to be updated. We are going to play gods in different roles if they have more than one role that they are meta in. So we did Achilles jungle last time. This time we did Achilles solo. So if we have new roles for them, we would love to. Obviously, we'll be updating the builds. I still want to go over and I want to cover all of the abilities, because I do genuinely feel like that's the most important part of a god, is just knowing their abilities. And I don't think that is too much simply going over a god's abilities every 7 months or so. And then, of course, we want to still cover things like their matchups, because matchups can change, as well as, you know, any tips and tricks on those gods using your abilities, auto attack, canceling, all that good stuff.